particularly noteworthy game yesterday. He'd had some stumbles in his first 2 matches, but seems to be far more comfortable with the team. Will that carry on? Soniqs are undefeated right now. They've won all 3 of their matches in regulation.
Yeah, I was going to say TSM, of course, they have suffered that 1 loss, but other than that, they've been flying pretty well so far, and it was a loss against no other than Astralis. That was a 4-7 for them, so it wasn't a lopsided match by any means of measure, but we are now Soniqs TSM on bank, and operator banners are flying across our screen very quickly. Hibana, Nuke, Echo, and Valkyrie.
Literally flying.
Literally flying. Like, it went by in 5 seconds. Insta-ban from both teams, flying across the board, as I mentioned. Yes. And this is going to speak to an information game, right? Super set on the desk. Bank is a very open map. A lot of informations and decisions can be made. And that's why we're going to see all this information being taken away. The Nuke is an issue for the defenders because the default cameras can't detect her. Nothing really can. But the Valkyrie and the Echo both being banned on the table means if you're roaming now on bank, you're running completely blind.
Hold on a second. If this Soniqs lineup holds...
No.
Blitz,
no.
Blackbeard,
no.
Amaru, Kali, Glass. If this lineup holds,
no.
Good God, pity TSM, but it won't. Look at that, 3 changes immediately. We got you baited. Everybody changed.
No, you got you baited.
Okay, I got you baited. You got you baited.
I like that.
You got you baited. That's exactly what happened.
No.
This lineup looks far more standard, but I will say adding Zero is a bit odd. A lot of teams are not running Zero at the moment, even though he's an operator with tons of potential, and Finka is not the same operator that she used to be.
I actually think Finka on bank, if anything, makes a lot of sense because you do have a lot of roam activity, a lot of chip damage going out, and there's very many ways you can really end up taking damage. I mean, look at the lineup from TSM. Smoke grenades, Capcom traps, Goyo fire, C4. So if you withstand and you just take some damage but you survive, well, the Finka can top you right back up. Zero being played on very few maps in North America. It's mostly like Chalet, some teams like to bring it, and of course Bank is probably the #1 map for this particular operator. Rogue themselves, the Berlin Major champions, they were bringing out both the Echo and the Zero on bank, and I'm sure the teams are going to start following troop, seeing how much success that particular roster had with their operators. But it's a roam game right now for TSM. We're in the basement, they're roaming an open area, and they have a lot of hatches soft, but not open up just yet. So in case they fall before, Soniqs have to still use their soft utility, but if they need to, Merc has the secondary shotgun to pop a hatch open and drop back down towards the bomb site. Soniqs are making their approach slowly. The Jackal, of course, going to help out tremendously by locating those footsteps of the roamers. And Gio actually opting for a quick server take, as it might actually be free to taking if he wins this gunfight. No, Snake, beautiful shot to Gio, shuts down the Thermite.
And that's a pretty damning blow, but there's backup with those secondary hard breach gadgets. A Capcom trap goes off. Rexon doesn't give a single hoot. There's a bit of sloppiness on that entry. Bolo credited with the assist on his own kill, because he was able to do all that damage to the Jackal early on. Now it's Gunner, the next one up. Grixer not too far off. Gunner's sensitivity almost betrays him on that Captain trap. He could have taken an extensive amount of damage. Sonic still reeling from losing 2 very important parts of their lineup, especially Geo. Those 2 hard breach gadgets are now going to need to be used very sparingly, and more important than any time before, Gunner needs to stay alive.
Yep, I mean, they haven't even cleared out Bolo on Murph from this position, so open up the A hatch seems very desperate, but I mean, it works out because Bolo drops down, but Bolo has to kill from downstairs regardless. Trades it back onto Kansen. It's still 4 versus 2 in favor of TSM. And again, Soniqs not aware of the roamers from TSM. It cost them once again. Last man standing, Grixer on the bomb site. Can't find it. Bolo gets that kill as well. 1-0 for TSM.
I'm going to say it. I'm just going to get it out of the way. I'm going to say it. We're never going to talk about it again. There's a lot of walking into bullets there by Soniqs. Now I'm going to move on.
I thought they were moved past from that with a certain roster change, but sometimes the past comes to bite you.
Very odd start to this game by Soniqs. This is a team that usually is very good on droning, very quick to get into the building, whether it's Gunner, whether it's Rexon, whether it's Kansen, sometimes even Grixer. Being able to capitalize off of a player out of position is a hallmark of Soniqs over these last 3 games, and frankly has been a hallmark of the team for the last 2 stages. They had some difficulties that time around, and there wasn't really anything I saw from TSM that even made me think, okay, this is a bit confusing for Soniqs to deal with. It was a relatively standard hold upstairs inside of that admin office, small office, extending out. into Archives. Capkin traps on the doors to delay. That was not checked at all by any of the attackers until it was too late after Rexen had sustained some damage from it. It was a pretty common open area style hold. I mean, unless there was something that we missed, which is entirely possible because we don't get to see everything from our vantage point. But you take a printer, you take electrical, you can sweep in through staff area. There was a late reinforcement going down inside of that small office as well. Like, there was ample time for Soniqs to capitalize off it, and they failed to do so.
No, I agree. The verticality they can do inside of stockrooms to open area, the hatch usage, etc. There are a ton of different options there. Soniqs went for a very simple approach. I am curious if Geo had won that gunfight inside of servers, that maybe that round would have gone differently because they had that opening. But no, it was Snake on that smoke who got the opening kill onto Geo instead. Now, you said open area, Parker. That's where the previous round was kind of held on the roam, but right now it is the bomb site. So TSM, they're going to go one floor up because Bank is a map where you cannot just stay on the bomb site itself. There's going to be verticality above you. You need to try and hold the map control, slow down the attackers, and at the very least, kill a handful of drones. So far, TSM, they've killed 3 of those drones on the side of Soniqs, but with Grixer on this floor, those were terror drones are going to add more to the tally as you get 4 additional ones at your disposal. And of course, you can do some self-destruction as well. It's Bolo holding stock with the magnets and the shield, and Snake suffering concussion, but he still wins his gunfight. He is true to his name as a masterful entry player.
This is more of the gunner that we saw in the first 2 play days, which cannot show up for Soniqs. This is a team that usually had their 3 superstars carrying them forwards with a sporting cast of Yeti and Super. You would live or die off of your entry players. In this instance, there's a bit more depth now, and it's something that even Super has said before, but this entry is proving to be a significant challenge. That's 2 kills for TSM. A 3rd will be added. The only kill for Soniqs comes to the hands of Kansan. We are very quickly approaching the point of no return in this round. Soniqs with only 2 to TSM's 4. That is not the spot you want to find yourself in. And Grixer just looks away. I don't know if he knows that Bolo is sitting on the shield. Bolo picks up his 4th kill. That leaves Kansan alone to die to Merc. TSM are preventing the Soniqs from getting into the building, and if they do get into the building, their stay is very short-lived.
I think one thing to point out right now is that Bank as a map is typically attacker favored because you can, all the outside repels, the long lines of sight, you can play quite comfortably from outside the building itself. When you're failing to shut down the roamers like the Soniqs are currently, you're basically giving TSM so much confidence on a map that normally you might not have as a defender. They're running out the map, they're winning their gunfights, they're getting the intra kills, and no one is really being shut down. At the very least, TSM are trading 1 for 2 or 1 for 3 in those first 2 rounds. And it really comes down to if Soniqs can turn the ship around and start punishing TSM's mobility on the map, then they're going to get overrun. Super set on the desk. This is the map where TSM, basically lived off of when it came to that miracle run at the previous invitationals, where they found so much success. Merc on that IGL role, when TSM goes on the attack, was a very lethal entry that granted TSM so much map control. And right now on TSM's defensive side, it's just all 5 players. I guess we can kind of exclude Gastrier and Achieve because they're 0, 0, and 0. They have not really done much. Achieve has 1 assist, but still. But essentially, the front hold from TSM are not being punished, they're not being shut down, and Soniqs, they have to change that. Whether they gotta go slower and take a more calmful approach, whether they gotta go faster and just play with more confidence, either or, but they have to start finding these openings on the map somewhere. And right now, it's gonna be a lobby attack.
Based on the first 2 rounds, the picks that Snake's gotten for the team and TSM have been getting suggests to me that Soniqs are not working together as effectively as they could. A lot of single drone in, follow in very quickly, and not have the information that you need, and that's what's allowed Snake and TSM to get those opening first couple picks. Back to the drawing board for Soniqs now, as again they find themselves in a vulnerable position, which is the rappel outside of office. Common spot for teams to play. And Nade could go down. Again, TSM starting things off. It's Grixer, the one who finds an early grave. Bolo in this exact same position by stock. And it was Grixer who died here in the same position before. That's an exact repeat of the previous round.
I think you're right. It comes down to Soniqs not really playing together because no one was there to help Grixer at all. And achieved another free kill onto Gunner through a nice angle inside that railing on Banana. It's a tough position for Soniqs.
You know what I'm feeling here?
What are you feeling?
I'm feeling a timeout.
I could see that.
I'm feeling a timeout after this round because there has been no growth that we've seen so far from Soniqs. Things continue to snowball against them. Rexin with half of the round to go is in a 1v5. TSM obliterating the Soniqs, and now it's Rexin to take some serious damage inside a lobby. Way too much debris and target prioritization. Can't find any of the culprits. Merc gets kill, and it's TSM flawlessly claiming their third round. That's a tough spot for Soniqs to be in.
That right there, that round is what I'm referring to. When you don't shut down the defenders, they're going to just run over you completely. I mean, TSM is swinging everything, taking the gunfights, winning those gunfights, and Soniqs look that they are completely lost right now inside the server. And I think you are correct. A tactical timeout should definitely be had right now because no improvements have been made. And
good. Dropping only 2 rounds to XSET, dropping only 3 rounds to DarkZero. Like,
oh, you're right.
There's not a lot of troubling signs there for you. They had their hands full with SSG on the very first Playday, but I mean, you're doing it with a brand new roster.
That you are, and I mean, the thing is, we can also talk about the map pool because the maps that they have played so far aren't quite like an open map like Bang. They've played Skyscraper, they played Clubhouse. Those are maps that are a bit more compartmentalized and like singular hallways, 90-degree turn and corners. But Bang is very open, very dynamic, so many different things to worry about. And someone like Gunnar, who you mentioned earlier, is 0-3 right now, not really finding success on the entry. He has so many more things to worry about walking up a staircase. There's 4 or 5 different angles on Bang he has to worry about every single time. When he's roaming on Clubhouse or lurking rather on the attacking side, it's one singular angle, and it's so much easier to also get information with those drones because those maps are smaller in size. After the timeout, I'm hoping to see a change in playstyle and approach from Soniqs. They need it. We're back, bombs at reset, basement time again, where things started. We can effectively say that it's round 0. Don't worry about the scoreline right now because Soniqs, at the very best, can tie it up for a 3-3 half, and that's going to be all right, but they got to get 3 in a row.
I mean, your best opportunity right now for the second half is just you win these 3 in a row, which is not an impossible task for any team to do, but I mean, it's not obviously always possible, but the best that the Soniqs have is tying this first half. There's no victory, there's no win condition right now, and oh my goodness. This is again the exact same thing that happened in the very first round.
Yeah.
Rexin sprints through that doorway, he triggers a Capkin trap. He doesn't this time, but Bolo is there to take matters into his own hands. Soniqs forfeit the first pick for the 4th round in a row, every single round so far. TSM have excelled, but I mean, that's, I guess, a freebie onto Snake. Gunnar, a nice shot achieved, isn't quick enough to follow up. So yeah, they might have given up the first pick, but Soniqs are now working in pairs and seemingly more confident on the way they hunt down these offsite players.
Yeah, and they got server control, which they didn't get the last time around. Geo is alive with those exothermic charges. TSM now trying to punish Gunnar inside a lobby. It's a 1v1 gunfight, but achieved with the UMP comes out on top. It's an important kill to clear out the map.
And before Gunnar pivoted towards that teller's desk inside of lobby, he knew there was somebody at the stairs. That was where Achieved lay in wait. The Finka will allow this chip damage to be removed, and they'll all be topped back up to full HP. It's a heavy investment from TSM off-site. Soniqs can march on in once that Goyo shield, of course, and the Goyo canister's fire goes away. That's a long 20 seconds for him to stare down. We have about 10 seconds left or thereabouts. 45 seconds in the round with the diffuser still in hand by Soniqs. This is very doable.
It is. I mean, Gash has a C4, but it looks like Soniqs might try to aggress down this hedge here with those flashbangs, but no, cancel goes main stairs instead. Plan starts getting started. Gash's C4 is the only thing that can stop this plan from going down.
The spot that Merc is in inside a garage, long range with 30 seconds to go, is a very common angle that we've seen being held by operators in the past, like Maestro and Echo, and you can do some serious damage here. Geo's been whittled down to basically nothing with that diffuser in hand. The Nitro cell still in the back pocket of Gasher. The last of the flames will need to go away. I don't think they were anticipating that. Merc sustaining some serious damage. He will continue to swing in his position. Geo's been down to the fire. I guess he thought it was over, but it wasn't. Kansan now drops, and Merc is still in the same position, leaving Grixer to die again to Merc. A huge play from Merc, and a huge play from TSM gives them 4 of 4 rounds.
It looked good for Soniqs for a moment after a sloppy start. They weren't using the verticality instead of CEO to help clear out Bolo in this archives position. So it started sloppy, but then they brought it back, right? The drone, the yellow ping, Geo with that entry. Then right here, Gunnar turns around the exact right moment, rather, gets the initial kill, but then loses a follow-up gunfight. Then the fire into Geo must have been just a mistiming. Maybe he was predicting the fire to end a little bit sooner, or maybe he was just a little bit too low on HP and took one step too far forward. Ended up burning down Either way, 4-0 for TSM, and it's going to go straight back to the same previous bomb site rotation. Basement, open area, CEO, basement, open area right now. They still have 2 more rounds to go. TSM looking great. Gasher, honestly, do you think he should get paid for this match, Parker, if this keeps going? He's 0-0-1. He hasn't really done a whole lot, but he's here, I suppose? I don't know.
Gasher's just along for the ride at this point.
Yes. He's making rotations, I suppose, with the shotgun.
I mean, but to be fair, look at the claw grip that Gasher has.
Oh no, let's not talk about
Look at the claw. Look at the claw grip that he has on the mouse.
Yeah, it's kind of... It's unique.
It's not as cursed as Achieved's grip, if you'll see it. And it's hilarious that they both end up on the same team. But either way, it doesn't matter if he's 0-0-1. He's not playing in a particularly dangerous spot. This would be a sheltered position. He's playing sheltered minutes, if you want to call it that. He only really needs to step up if the rest of the team falters, and that has not been the case up to this point.
No, you're right. He's the backbone and the backline of the team on that smoke operator, of course, but he's just not needed for now. Merc on the Vigil, stable operator for him on Bank. That's how what he was playing during Invitationals as well. And just again to confuse the drone game from the attacking side. And Rexon now is actually off the Jackal once again, back onto Sophia. So Merc gets a lot of free roam right now. Just kind of make his approach around the map. And they have no idea where he is. They're still looking for him. Scanner goes on, scanner goes off. First minute burnt on the clock right now for Soniqs. A double Claymore flank watch in the server stairs. Might keep Gio alive, but yeah.
Merc is on a collision course with it. He's yet to die. He goes on to drone, and Merc can hear that, so the cloak will come out instead. It'll at least give away the position.
Hey, they have no idea.
Merc is still here.
Oh.
Oh, no, no, no. Gio. Will Gio get off in time? No, he will not, but you have to watch for the Claymores. They're both there, and Merc gets them easily. Bolo with one as well. TSM are putting on an absolute clinic at the moment. Gunner is also on 1 HP. The only damage that's been done to TSM is Snake plowing through a wall as Oryx. It wasn't even damage that was done by somebody else. Oh, what can the Soniqs do? A vault in here towards this trading room, stock room, etc. The Magnet will come back. Kansan is looking in the wrong direction. Bolo will see the buck and do some serious damage, but not quite enough. He favors the spot, up by the vending machines, playing on that deployable shield. He said to fall off. Instead, he'll sit at the top of main stairs.
Yep. Bolo playing discipline with Merc holding on that diffuser. But Grixer finds Gasher on the bomb side itself, but when they don't have the case control, this really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. And Gunner, with 1 HP, surely can't win this gunfight against Merc.
And this is just Merc ego challenging at this point, really. He's got the case, he doesn't need to go for it. Instead, he will fall off back to open area where the bomb site is. The Soniqs have made this a much more competitive round than I think we had originally assessed. Merc now inside of Electrical. No deaths to his name. Only a single point of HP for Gunner, and well, could this be it for Merc? Yes, it is, and a grave for him, but it comes with 20 seconds left. Bolo, a huge round, he gets the final 2 kills. TSM are storming through this matchup. They're up 5-0.
There's 2 ways I can go about this. Either the Soniqs are making a show out of this, and they're gonna show just how good they are by making a reverse comeback effortlessly, round by round, hopefully soon, or they really are just struggling this much with TSM's roam presence. And this is something where TSM, they're known when they first joined the NAL as a cafe team. They are such a formidable team on that specific map. They would play a basement defense with like 4 roamers, vertical holes all across the map. I scrimmed them back in G2 on high ping back when they're in North America and I was in Europe. It was very, very difficult to fight them. This is giving me that same TSM OG cafe vibes where they own every single part of the map and there's just no easy way to go about it as an attacker. If I was Soniqs, I would play Monty and just walk around and at least I would feel safe. But we got a question. Which team can utilize Geo better, Soniqs or TSM? And I mean, I think Super kind of hit the nail on its head. TSM, they won the Invitationals with Geo. That's about as good as you can get.
Yeah. And that's correct. Look at that.
And that is correct.
Which team can utilize Geo better? The team that doesn't have him. Excellent. Brilliant job, everybody. Let's pack it up and go home.
Yep. TSM actually lost the fan vote for who was gonna win the match, but they won the fan vote for the question at least. So like they got a dub somewhere, you know.
Well, final attempt for Soniqs here on attack. You even said this map skews towards the attackers, and would you look at what the scoreline would suggest? That you are the mayor of Wrongsville. How does it feel?
I mean, It feels terrible because I predicted Soniqs to win, so it's like a double loss for me right now, but I still believe that this could just be one of those defender-sided banks for whatever reason that might be. We'll see when the side swap comes out. Soniqs, they need their first round right now. Otherwise, they're staring down match point. No mistakes can be made. They need a little bit of breathing room, and this round would give them a little bit of that.
See a potential comeback if the Soniqs are able to get the very first pick and then go from there. They have been deprived of a lead in any real sense. They have never held a numbers advantage in this matchup. They have never gotten the first pick. They have never been in close contention for a round, except for maybe that basement defense that TSM was able to hold together at the last second. Can things change? Can momentum start to build? There's no real momentum to be had here other than mental momentum at this point.
Mental momentum.
Well, if you think about it, we're now halfway through this final round.
Yeah.
When they switch sides, all the sides are open. The only real momentum that you can talk about in Rainbow Six is on the defense and whether they're able to have a favorable bomb site rotation. Soniqs do something they haven't done so far. It's got a very first pick. They add another to it as well. TSM have lost both Bolo and Merc, and now they'll lose Achieved. This is a formidable round from Soniqs, but Gasher under fire. He takes down one with him. It leaves Snake in a position where, well, he can fire. Oh, and he can fire for sure! Hitting those shots onto both Gunner and Grixer. Another heads over towards the window. Case has been picked up, so Snake will have to charge his way back in. But Rexon will find safer pasture elsewhere. It'll be incumbent upon Kansan to watch him. Gives his position away. Snake knows roughly where he is, but can he hit the shot? He does some serious damage. He needs to control that T5. He doesn't have tons of information, and now the clock is also working against him. There was a drop through the hatch. So all of Soniqs are just going to play keep away. Try to buy as much time as possible, but Snake has a way back to the bomb site. The worry now is this vertical control. He doesn't know where either of them are, and they'll be watching through two separate areas. He's only got about 12 seconds to pull this one off before he hits the point of no return. He knows where one is, but he can't outduel Rexon. The down comes in, but it's not enough. That's it. Soniqs take their very first round, and it's Kansan with the nosebleed powers, it seems like.
Yeah. Yeah, it appears to be that way. An important round for the team there because now they get to show off on the defensive half, and at least they're allowed one loss to figure it out and then change things up as well. They're going to start in the basement too, just like TSM did. Of course, Goyo being brought out because basement is one of those bombs that really favors burning down the clock, as you got to roam clear, breach open the hatches, go into server, take server control, or hit the back instead. So both the smokes being brought out, the Goyo being brought out, and of course a little bit of presence with the roam game if you want to on that Melusi or Alibi as well. Usually when you played Bank, we know, let's go back in time. 3 years, 4 years ago, you would just sit 5 defenders comfortably in the bomb site itself, and that would be considered the best strategy available. Nowadays, having all these different operators, utility, gadgets, and secondary hard breach, you really can't just give full map control over to the attackers immediately. People also drone way better, so normally when you start attacking a basement defense, you'll start putting one drone in square, one drone in lobby, one drone main stage, and you will know by the time the round starts how many people are roughly going to be on the bomb site, how many people are going to be off the bomb site. If there's no one walking up any of those staircases, you can just fly in the lobby, fly into square, open area, full map control, breach the hatches, and you can start executing much quicker than you should be allowed to. And that is why we see pro teams nowadays, as we see on our screen right now, lurk inside of open area, open up that corner hatch. Why the corner hatch? Well, the corner hatch gives you a worse angle towards the bomb side if you were to lose this ground as a defender, whereas the A bomb side hatch would be very terrible to lose control of without forcing the enemy to breach it first. So that is typically the setup right now, is what we saw from both TSM, is what we see from Soniqs. Can TSM pull this apart better than Soniqs could and find it up in this first attacking round?
Remains to be seen. We have not seen an upstairs defense yet. That's one thing that you just want to keep note of. The first half, as we now have a brief pause before this round gets underway. TSM took the first 5 rounds, one of which was flawlessly done. They got the opening pick 5 of those 6 rounds. Soniqs took their time out at the tail end of round number 3. It did not pay off immediately, but they were still able to get a single round before switching sides. Only one diffuser was planted, and it happened in that final round, which was a big one and basically a perfect round for Soniqs. Outside of it being flawless, that's really the only other way it could have been better. So TSM setting up themselves a wonderful nest egg early on, and now they only need 2 rounds of the remaining 6 to put this one away. A single round will guarantee them 1 point at minimum, because they will then go to overtime, whether they win or lose. Oh my goodness, Merc.
Come on.
Shoot, Merc. Oh no. Oh, if only he'd known. Right on the leg.
Yeah. Would have been a kill, of course, but a bit of damage would have not hurt anybody. Speaking of Harbridge utility, well, TSM, they brought both the Maverick, the Thermite, and the can openers from Achieved on the box. So Buck can give you vertical destruction, it can open up the hatches, and really is a very dynamic operator on Bang. But the thing is, there's no frag grenades on the side of TSM, so Bolos with Terror drones is like the only tool they can really use besides Merc's Ash charges to like do any soft destruction or force out player positions. And Bolos gonna do just that. It's gonna gain information, go through red, but gets shut down by Kansen. Shield stays alive. Kansen's position here is crucial for Soniqs' defense.
I was curious as to why they would bring so much hard destruction, and I have to wonder, as Merc gets the very first pick to start off the round, and there's only 30 seconds left, I do have to wonder if it's because they expected Soniqs to extend upwards and not just consolidate around the bomb site. Either way, does it work out? Some of the defense for Soniqs disappearing. Achieved getting gassed out. He needs to continue to run. Another kill from TSM comes in. Geo, first on the board for Soniqs, but it's a scramble as there's 5 seconds remaining. They need to get the kills. Gasher's at the halfway point. Soniqs will need to stop him before it goes down, or else it extends the timer. Grixer the only hope, and he gets Gasher, but it's too little too late. The diffuser is down. Grixer can clutch out with the 2 kills on Snake and Merc is just a tiny point of HP. Snake, this new pickup. Will he be the first set of eyes to see Grixer as he emerges from red, from vault, towards the diffuser, making noise in the process? On the B-bomb chassis, he could potentially long-arm this. TSM knows that. He's in a dangerous position, but Grixer falls off and instead decides to engage with Merc. There was such limited HP. Grixer now will have to hop back on that diffuser with only 2 seconds left. Snake will need to stop him. Grixer gets the kill, but it's just for posterity, as there's no way to get the diffuser on time. Might as well pad the stats. A nice 4K from Grixer still falls short of what was needed. And TSM win based off the objective. They moved to match point.
There's a great push in from Gasher there, recognizing that there was a toxic baby in his path, but if he can get in towards that bomb side and trust that the cover is there, at least the bomb goes down and they go, they buy that 45 seconds on the clock. They can play the post plan together in a 2v1, which they did. Sure, TSM didn't really play together for a trade in that scenario, but they burned down the clock far enough where it was an unwinnable position for Grixer in that 1 versus 2. And the basement bomb side, which we'll see again, by the way, really comes down to a fine line between how long do we stay on the roam versus when do we fall back. Because let's look back at what happened at the end of that chaotic round. TSM were executing with 14 seconds left. Theoretically, had Soniqs run for 14 seconds longer, that can change a lot of things in that scenario, because then TSM has to buy 14 seconds somewhere else, either going too fast, not joining a corner, rushing a gunfight, etc. Maybe not throwing 3 flashbangs, which is 1 flashbang. So you really have to try and min-max how long you can stay for on this initial roam. Same with the drone count. The more drones you can kill during the prep phase, or the more drones you can kill during that initial droning phase, the first minute of the round, so to speak, the more time you buy on the clock as well, because drones are utility. Manpower is an essential tool also as utility, because you have less things to work with. If you get a kill as a defender, well, all of a sudden, the attackers had to spend more time covering the same ground, and therefore a kill equals time on the clock. Those are very important factors to Bang because of the size of the map. And we have a sneaky Snake hiding. This is the Falco spot, by the way, back in year 1 of the game. Falco would play post and hide underneath the table, and no one could ever find him. Ever. And it worked for like way too long. I haven't seen this in a long time. And he's been possibly found.
I think that little.
I think they know.
I think the little bobble of the drone says, "Oh, we know he's there."
Yeah, that might be it.
We know you're there. And watch this. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this. Oh,
nice try, Gunner.
Gunner was having a moment.
Yeah. Honestly, you never know if you get drowned in that scenario, so he just gambled that he didn't. He trusted the plan. The plan didn't work.
The plan absolutely did not work. I gotta say, the cojones that somebody would have to try that, staring down match point. But I mean, I guess if you only got 1 round, why not?
Yeah, I mean, when you're in match point in this scenario, it's like you gotta try something crazy, right? I mean, had it worked out, we wouldn't have laughed about it. We would have been like, oh my god, this guy's a genius. He had to, he was just sticking around like a madman. But other thing came around. TSM's lineup, by the way, is very execution-oriented for a server attack. Gasher in the Monty, Bolo in the Ying. This is where you want to get the hatch control, open up those hatches, and likely go in towards that server area of the map to then use the Monty to both take that server control and then execute off the bat. But as I say that, achieved on the main stairs and Merc losing a gunfight inside a garage might actually indicate that TSM were thinking about going for a backside attack instead, but by losing Merc, they might have to change their plan again.
Well, Merc was the player who decided to rush Garage, if you recall, in the previous execute. So it's a good assumption that A, somebody is going to come from the Garage no matter what. Nook is an excellent operator to do that, but she's banned, so that's a moot point at the moment. So instead you put Merc on the Ash and decide, hey, let's go in that direction. Oh, Gio is making an absolute mess inside of Blue, but he can't outduel the Montaigne. He gets a single kill for his trouble, but Gasher remains standing. Can now confront the forces inside of both the bomb sites. There goes the Goyo shields, and that's an awful lot of damage to be found. Hard destruction in spades for TSM. Bolo will work to cut off lines of sight, and he loses out to a magnet. So there's another one to go down, and the default plant spot will be covered and obscured by that smoke. Candela's to go down as well. Achieved wanders in through the fire. No! Grixer gets 2 kills from it. TSM realizing the time is not their ally, and now suddenly, slowed by the Banshee, Bolo will need to get the diffuser down. He knows that this is hopeless, and falls off. Won't give the kill to Soniqs. Instead, he survives. 3 players in the lobby. The clock gives it to SQ. They've got a big climb ahead of them if they want to get on even footing with TSM. But for now, TSM still very firmly in the driver's seat.
And the Goyo fire really proving to be an issue here for both teams on the attacking side. And in defensive achieved, I don't think he saw the Banshee inside the A bomb site, so he thought, I can leg it through this fire, I'll take about 50% of my HP, but I'll be fine. Well, halfway through that thought, there was a Banshee on the ground that slowed him down further, and then he could not make it past the fire point, and therefore got burnt to a crisp. Gasher might have taken one step too far forward, similar to Gio when Soniqs on the attacking side, because he too burned at the exact same moment. And TSM might have rushed that one a little bit too fast. Losing Merc in Garage cost them. They lost a bit of soft breach they could have used to clear that Banshee, for example, and they lost a bit of time having to rotate from open area to main stairs, then to servers afterwards. So, again, a fine line and time utility usage, and that really was the big difference maker.
I'll be humble. For a second there, by the way, you saw Achieved in the way that he held his mouse.
For a small second.
For a small second. Just a teeny tiny second. To open area we go. If this ends up being the very final round, we won't see a single defense on the upstairs bomb site.
Well, technically that's wrong. Third round was CEO. It's a flawless with TSM, and everyone died in lobby. But technically TSM did defend the bomb site. It just didn't really look like it. So I'll be like, yeah, we didn't really see CO at all because we never saw the site.
I thought that was a CO.
Basement open.
I thought that was the middle floor.
They went basement open area CEO, basement open area tellers.
I thought they went tellers twice.
If they did, then I am the fool. We'll see. I'll check that later.
Let's check the tapes.
Yeah, let's check the tapes.
Who was correct? I have CEO/tellers question mark written down here.
Okay, question mark.
Question mark. Yeah, of course.
Oh boy. Okay.
But
this
who is the better set of eyes? One of us is going to get clowned on for this.
We are.
Either way.
So you asked me if I saw anything. Now we can look at the operator lineup, of course. I see Gasher and Capital. That's an operator we haven't seen yet so far in Bank, on this particular matchup at least. And again, secondary Heartbreach gadget. Has the fire to clear out good positions from the defenders. Has smoke grenades to cut lines of sight. And more importantly, Gasher is now on an operator that has a little bit more freedom, I'd argue, because you can risk dying now because you got Bolo on the Heartbreach of Ace, and Bolo gets that AK-12 at his disposal, which, Bolo being Bolo, I'm sure he loves that gun. So wins across the board here for TSM, whereas for Soniqs, well, we're opting for the Capcan, which was troublesome for them when they were on their attacking side. The rest kind of stays in a similar fashion, nothing quite out of the ordinary. Merc is going to use his drone and that smoke grenade to grant himself an entry point, whereby Bolo does some entry job up above, and in a 1v3 finds one, but is there a second for his choosing?
Very well flushed out, but Gunnar has him on the cross. Soniqs playing Ring Around the Rosie above. TSM do get that opening pick. It's only for about 10 seconds or so before it is answered back, so as close to a trade as I think you can get realistically. Gunnar still up top, proving that he is not shaken from his position. finds yet another, and a third could be had if Snake decides to engage in a maybe not so smart manner. Achieved fell, and now the advantage for Soniqs as they look to keep themselves in this matchup. Unfortunately for Gunnar, he won't be able to. Merc is waiting patiently in the lobby, and as Gunnar tries to get back to the bomb site, it equalizes us into a 3v3.
That it does, but Snake is low on HP and they have no vertical destruction from that block anymore. Of course, Gasher bringing that secondary hot breach can opener is the saving grace of TSM right now because they did lose Bolo early on in the process. But the C4 takes him out. And sure, the hatch gets opened up, but now we're in a 3v2, no diffuser in hand for TSM. And Soniqs can sit comfortably on the bomb side and let TSM do all the first moves. They gotta walk in through a double door into a crossfire, gotta drop a hatch down into a crossfire, and they only have one single smoke grenade from Merc to cut any lines of sight. No grenades from Snake. It's gonna come down to individual gun skill and timing.
And Merc is knocking at this door. 30 seconds to go. Doesn't have the best read as to where they are. A smoke is out to cut off this line of sight. Is it tossed too far? That's the real question. Well, unfortunately for his teammate, yes, it is. Merc takes down one. More damage to be done. Snake bleeding out. A little bit of HP for Merc is all that there is, but Soniqs finish it off pretty quickly. They've now won 2 rounds in a row, and the comeback begins in front of our very eyes.
That it does. I mean, Gunnar kind of was the hero for Soniqs there because when his teammate fell up above in an alibi inside of Jenner's closet, he killed Bolo and then aggressed forward in towards CEO to take that second gunfight against Achieved, which he won. And then sure, he dropped lobby and got taken out by Merc later for that 3 versus 3, but taking out both the Buck and the Ace were 2 of the most important operators on that round because you lose vertical destruction, you can't breach the walls inside a bottom square, and of course, you even back the man count in the process as well. So Teller is actually being played here, so CEO definitely not the favor for either of these teams as it's only been played possibly a single time. Operator lineup is similar for Soniqs, but Geo is now going to get aggressive on Vigil. He said, you know what, I did a lot of work yesterday on Clubhouse, I want to do a lot of work right now on Bank as well. Get me on a roaming operator, let me do what Merc does as well and activate my scanner and roam around the map like a madman and, you know, be an issue for TSM's drone information. TSM are changing a few things around. They're going to get a throwable hot breach from Gasher, from Thermite onto Ace. Bodo gets onto self-destruction of Sophia, and Snake actually gets to partake with that line scanner to keep the members of Soniqs standing still. One thing to note in case you are new to watching the game or haven't been updated on the changes, Vigil's scanner, when it is activated, can actually walk around freely even though Lion's scanner is going on. So Geo can always move throughout this match as long as his gadget is available to him.
And I mean, you'll know if there's a Vigil on the board because you'll see those little spikes underneath, those little visual representations. Shimmers, bar graphs, whatever you want to call it.
That is correct.
Graphs, stats, percentages, I don't know.
Oh, no.
But either way, Geo will be, as long as he uses his ability near a drone, then you will be aware of there being a Vigil on the board. I do like that Rexen is in the exact same position that we saw Bolo being in the past and can easily swing over. Those Selmas are unguarded, and, well, if he decides to jump out the window, I don't know if there's a set of eyes looking in that direction. He gets droned out, and he just narrowly misses out on Gasher, who will now throw it again, and an E1D will keep Rexen from being able to get the Selma charges. It costs him the security of the position he was in. Bolo's in the middle of the site.
What?
He takes some damage, he gets a kill, and now he's planting.
What? There's no cover.
There's absolutely nobody watching this, and TSM are in excellent position. Soniqs now have to scramble to get back into the bomb site. Bolo just rushed on in. Gunnar punishes him for it. The clock will continue to go. TSM just need to play keep away, and they still have an E1D in their back pocket as it regenerates. Achieve takes out Gunnar. They're sitting on this diffuser now. Rexen within reach of it. Could he long arm it?
Oh.
Yes, he can. Can they get there in time? E1D goes off. Rexen has to hop up, takes out Merc. A swift beheading. But now back onto the diffuser he goes, looking to pick up Kansan, but it's Achieved with the 2-piece to close out the match. And by a score of 7-3, TSM pick up all 3 points.
I don't even understand what happened that round. Bolo got inside, got Captain trapped, got the opening kill, and started planning immediately with no hesitation. They must have had information that only one member was on the bomb side, which was partially true, but the second one did